Hey, my name is Sara. I've been coming to Zion for about 2 years now, and over the last 3 months, God has completely changed up my life. Over the last few months, I've just started having new dreams and new desires for my life. One of those things being foster care. I had never, dreamed of doing that necessarily, but a couple weeks ago I just could not stop thinking about it. The next day I went over to a friend's house, and I wasn't going to tell her what was going on because I was really scared to kind of tell anyone that I was thinking about foster care, because I felt like if I said it, then it became real and people were going to be like, hey, are you going to actually do it? And that really freaked me out because I was just wrestling with a lot of fear and uncertainty about it all. But my friend just was like, hey, I'm just gonna pray that somebody has a prophetic word for you and gives you so much clarity about this whole foster care thing. And no joke, the next day I was going to Tuesday prayer, and John got on the microphone and he was saying, today we're just gonna practice speaking prophetic words over one another. And there was this woman that came straight to me, and she was like, I need to pray for you. God told me that I need to pray for you. And she's like, what can I be praying for? And I just said foster care, and I just started sobbing. And she started just praying over me, and she started praying in tongues over me. And that was something I had never experienced before. I actually had never heard anyone speak in tongues before that moment. I heard about it, but I had never heard it. And it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever experienced. It was as if she was just talking straight to the Lord in a heavenly language. And it was this beautiful exchange where she would speak in tongues, and then she would translate and just share what the Holy Spirit was telling her to say. And man, the things that she was saying, it just felt like it was straight from God. And that was the biggest thing. She just confirmed that desire was from God. God gave me that desire. And so after that moment, I told her, I was like, Paula, I've actually never heard anyone speak in tongues. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to pray that you get the gift. And I was like, okay, that seems kind of crazy. I don't know how I feel about it. Didn't grow up with it. Seems a little woo-woo, a little spiritual. I don't know. Maybe it's not for me. And she's like, whatever, I'm just gonna pray, maybe you get it. And then a few weeks later, I was in Tijuana on my car ride there. We randomly got speaking about tongues. And one of the girls was like, I'm just gonna randomly pray that you get the gift of tongues. And I was like, okay, great, sounds cool. And then the same thing with a third friend, later that week, was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pray you get the gift of tongues. So 3 times, and I'm like, okay, that seems crazy, whatever. So fast forward to this Tuesday, I was driving down to San Clemente and was about to put on a podcast like I normally do during my drive, and God just was nudging me nah, don't put on your podcast, I just want to talk with you. So I just sat in my car and just started kind of driving and talking out loud to God, and I just felt like the Lord was telling me, you know what, why don't you just go ahead and try to speak in tongues? And I was like, God, I don't know how. He's like, I know you don't, but just go for it. Just open your mouth. And I opened my mouth, and these words that I've never spoken just started flowing out of me. And it was so crazy. I'd never said the words that were coming out of my mouth before. And it almost came out of me and bubbled out like it was a song. And it was so wild. And I pulled up to HQ after that happening, and I was like, okay, that was crazy. I don't think I'm going to tell anyone what just happened, because that was crazy. And it also felt a little sacred and personal. So I was like, maybe I'm just going to keep this between me and God. And then Tuesday prayer started, and lo and behold, John got on that mic and was like, hey, I feel like someone's been given the gift of tongues and has a prophetic word for us. And I just felt my heart like beating so fast. And I was like, shoot, God, I didn't want to say anything. I don't want to tell anyone. And he just was like, raise your hand, just tell him what happened. And I ended up sharing what had happened. And I also shared just what God has been doing in my life and just how he has just been like pouring out the Spirit just like a water hose for the last few months. And I just was sharing all that was going on. And everyone in the room just came around me and started praying for me. And it's crazy because I was right here. And everyone just started coming around me and praying over me. And I wish I could remember what they said. It was such a blur. But I just felt this like electricity run through me from my head to my toes. I've never felt anything like it. It was like this current just was like running through my veins and just like washing over me. And the tears were just like flowing. I could not stop sobbing. And in that moment, I was like, I feel like something just happened to me. I don't know what the heck that was, but like God just did something inside of me that I can't explain. And I was like, I've been baptized before. I thought I was saved. I thought I was good. But I just felt like right after that, like the Lord was like, I just baptized you in the Spirit right now. You are baptized in the ocean, which is wild. Like this very time of year, years ago. But this year, he did something new, something fresh, something unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. But yeah, I feel changed since then. And I feel just so convinced that God is real. God has so much more for us. Man, he like loves to answer our prayers, and yeah, he has so much more for us, and it's just up to us if we want to receive it. Like ask for it and you'll receive. That's really what he's shown me this week is I didn't even think to ask for certain things. And now I'm stepping into this season where I'm like, wow, God, you are an abundant God. You have so much to give us if only like we just ask. And so I've just been floored, and God is doing infinitely more than anything I ever thought possible. And he hasn't just given me like a better life than what it was a couple years ago or a couple months ago. He's really given me a new life all over again. And he's reignited me and just set my soul on fire. I'm just so excited for all that's to come. My name is Sara, and this is my story.